I'd like to call this meeting to order. Could you all rise, please, for the playing of O Canada?
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, a true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
It's possible you folks didn't hear that.
Yep.
So hopefully it got captured in the recording.
Thank you very much for that. The next time, actually, I'll sing if that's required. I have no problem with that. I was told once I had a good singing voice, so maybe we'll do it again. All right, we'll move on to item number 3. Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda as circulated? If there's none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda as circulated. Moved by Councillor Daniel Allen. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Trevor Cunningham. All right, a motion on the floor to approve the agenda as circulated. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. Item number 5, is there any declarations of conflict of interest on any agenda item? If there's none right now, if you see one throughout the agenda, please make it known and it'll be recorded by Victoria Pierce, our recording secretary. Item number 6, there is no presentations this evening that I'm aware of. Is that correct, Madam Chair or Madam CAO?
Correct, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Item number 7, approval of the minutes. Item 7.1, 7.2. I trust you have all read that. That's in your meeting package. Is there any errors or omissions? If not, I'd accept a motion to approve the minutes. Councillor Jordan Long.
I move to approve the minutes of regular meeting minutes of July the 27th, 2020, and committee of the whole minutes of August the 12th, 2020.
All right, a motion on the floor to approve the minutes from July 27th and August the 12th. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councillor Lauren Cushing. A motion on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Contrary minded? Motion carried. Please excuse me, Council. I have 2 agendas. I have the old agenda and then I have the updated agenda. I just want to make sure that I don't miss anything. Okay, item 8, business arising from the minutes. 8.1, recommendations from the August Committee of the Whole. 8.1.1, first reading of the private road maintenance bylaw P-086-20. What is the wishes of council? So if anyone wishes, they could make a motion to approve the first reading.
I'll make that.
All right, a motion on the floor to approve the first reading of the private road maintenance change bylaw P-086-20. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Daniel Allen. All right, a motion on the floor. Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. All right, this will be moved to council for second reading and There will be no public hearing on this since it is a bylaw. Item 8.1.2, fees policy F-044-200. What is the wishes of council? Councillor Patty Durkee.
I'll make a motion to approve the fees policy F-044-02.
All right, motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Daniel Allen. Is there any discussion on that fees policy?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Madam CAO.
it's amendments to the fees policy, not, I think that's material in the motion because it's not a brand new policy. We're just amending it.
All right, is a mover and seconder agreed with that? Agreed by Councillor Patty Durkee, seconded by Councillor Allen. So if there's no discussion on that, I'd entertain a question on that.
Question.
All for.
Question on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Contrary minded? Motion carried. Item 8.1.3, festivals and special events policy. You'll all have that in your package. Is there any discussion on that? Has there been any correspondence on any of these amendments? Madam CAO.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So late yesterday, we received some correspondence from an industry stakeholder who reviewed the draft of the policy and had some concerns about the impact the policy might have on that sector. The correspondence was from Rick Allwright, who owns an events production company. And so the request is that council table approval of the policy this evening and go back and maybe do a little bit more engagement with stakeholders. And so I would support that recommendation.
Yeah, me too.
All right, so if that's the wishes of council, I'd like a motion to defer decision on the festival events policy until
So moved.
moved by Councillor Gerard LeBlanc, and I seen Councillor Trevor Cunningham. You second that?
I do. Second.
So there's a motion on the floor to defer a decision on the festivals and events policy until staff does some research with the stakeholders. Is there any discussion on that motion?
Question.
Question being called on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. All right, move on. 8.1.4, emergency service provider registration. Policy number F-0545-20. You all have that in your package. What is the wishes of council? Do you wish to approve, amend, or defer? Councillor Trevor Cunningham.
I'll move that we approve the emergency service provider registration F-046-20, and that's policy.
Councillor, it's F-045, I believe, not 46.
I think there's a typo, Mr. Chair, on the agenda. I think it is 046-20.
Yeah, it is on my document. Yeah.
And on my printed document, it's F-045. So just to be clear, it's Councillor Trevor Cunningham moved that we approve the emergency service provider registration policy F-046-20. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. Do I have a seconder on that motion? Seconded by Councillor Daniel Allen. Is there any discussion on that motion?
Question.
Question being called on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item 8.1.5, Hebron Business Park Phase 2 request for decision. What is the wishes of council? Councillor Patty Durkee, then Councillor Trevor Cunningham. Councillor?
I'll make a motion that we approve the recommendations from the Committee of the Whole meeting on the Hebron Business Park Phase 2. And the recommendations were that we begin work immediately to relocate the municipal salt and storage building to the Public Works Recreation Maintenance Yard. 2, that staff investigate the cost of constructing warehouse space on the lot currently being leased on County Crescent Drive to the private sector. Number 3, the lots on the west side of County Crescent to be actively marketed through a real estate firm. 4, that staff investigate the benefit of a business improvement district within the park. And 5, that we consider in our next capital investment plan for 21-22, allocating funds to develop the road network and municipal services as presented in the diagram A3 under option 4.1 that we received.
Motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Daniel Allen. Is there any discussion on that motion? Councillor Lauren Cushing.
As I moved that be brought forward to this meeting anyway, but I think it's a step in the right direction. We are being very progressive here to try to expand our business park there, and what a great way to start. So congratulate the CAO and our staff to come up with this plan, and let's move forward with it. It's a great idea. We're moving along good.
Councillor Trevor Cunningham.
Yes, I also note that in concert with these developments, we have in the past and are currently working with the province to develop the Greenville Road overpass, change that from a simple overpass to a ramped overpass. So those two developing the park in lockstep with that development, I think will yield some results for our tax base and business community in the municipality district of Yarmouth.
Any more discussion on the motion on the floor? Hearing none, I'd entertain a question.
Question?
Question being called on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you very much, Council. That's all from business arising. Item number 9, new business. You all have in front of you item 9.1, the July development report.
Mr. Chair, I think you missed item 8.2.
Oh, I certainly did. My apologies, Council. Item 8.2, municipal planning strategy, MPS amendments, second reading. What is the wishes of council? Yes, Councillor Trevor Cunningham.
I'll move the second reading of the Municipality District of Yarmouth Municipal Planning Strategy Amendments.
All right, motion on the
I'll
floor. Do I
second.
have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Lauren Cushing. Is there any discussion on that motion? Anyone, any staff wish to add anything on that?
Nothing from me, Mr. Chair.
Question?
Question being called on the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you very much, Council. Now, this amendment will be moved to the province for review from the Director of Planning, and I believe it's 14 days that it usually takes for them to respond, or longer.
It's hard to gauge. I'm just not sure where they're at and what their volume of work is. But when they respond, we'll advertise and then it comes into force. So what that will do is once we get that piece, that will allow us to launch the Commercial Development District Improvement Bylaw. And we'll be able to launch that program with commercial property owners in the district.
Thank you
Mr.
very much.
Chairman, the director has 30 days to respond, and I had an email today. He's in the office 2 days a week now, so hopefully that logjam that we've experienced will disappear.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Patty Durkee, you had your hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to our CAO. Victoria, just wondering, How long has it been since we started with that that bylaw? Just wondering how long it took for us to go through since I brought that up.
So the bylaw was in draft form when I joined the team in 2018. I'm guessing it was sometime in the winter between 2017 and 18 when staff began to draft it. The issue that we ran into was a little bit of an inconsistency in terms of how the MGA was being applied with respect to CDDI bylaws in the MPS. And so there's a requirement, and it was in the MGA when the CDDI program was launched, that a policy amendment happen under the municipal planning strategy to accommodate it so that your planning documents align across the board. And so in early CDDI bylaws, I think some were approved by the province without the municipal planning strategy being done. And so when our CDDI bylaw got reviewed, it was picked up by the province that we didn't have the MPS piece happening in lockstep. So we just had to circle back and cover that piece off in order to have everything appropriately looked after.
Thank you very much.
Any more questions, comments on that item? Hearing none, now we'll move on to item 9. My apologies, Council, for skipping over that. Item 9.1, July Development Report. You all have that in your package. Is there any comments, questions, or concerns? If not, I'd entertain a motion to accept the report as circulated. Councillor Trevor Cunningham.
Well, I'll move acceptance or a receipt of the report, but I would like to comment after it's seconded.
All right, motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Patty Durkee. So a motion on the floor. Any discussion? Councillor Trevor Cunningham, you said you'd like to mention a couple things, so you have the floor.
Yes, certainly. The Hebron Business Park upgrade to fiber is going to be a good turn of events for a business park. That's another piece that we haven't mentioned yet tonight, but have talked about in committee of the whole. And I'd like for us to potentially look at, if we can extend fiber to households on the way up to service our park. That's a possibility, and I'll leave that with the CAO.
Thank you very much, Councillor Trevor Cunningham. Is there any more discussion on the motion on the floor? Councillor Patty Durkee.
I'd just like to say thank you to our residents for continuing in the construction mode. It's pretty amazing that our numbers year to date are similar, not that far off. Well, far enough and off, but $1 million off, I guess, from the previous year. But considering that it's been COVID, I think we have to be pretty happy with what's been happening in our development office.
Councillor Trevor Cunningham.
Yes, and I just also like to draw attention in CAO's report, and thank you for providing us information, that the Lake Milo Active Transportation Project, the request for expression of interest is closed. 6 firms submitted, all met the qualifications, and will receive the request for proposals by the end of September. So the Lake Milo Active Transportation / Boardwalk project is at the beginning stages. So I'm very, very pleased with that. Look forward to having that come to fruition during our next council.
Oh, Councillor, that's in the CA's report. That's the next one that's coming up after the July development report.
My apologies. I'm so excited about it, I skipped over.
That's quite all right. There's a motion on the floor to accept the July development report. Is there any more discussion on that? Councillor Daniel Allen?
I guess I just want clarification on the motion that Councillor Cunningham did make. Was he approving the CAO report, or was he approving the July development report?
No, there's only a motion on the floor right now that we should be discussing this July development report. However, he did say
Okay.
he was excited. So if there's no more discussion on the motion that's currently on the floor, I'd entertain a question on that.
Question.
Question being called. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Contrary minded? Motion carried. Item 9.2, the CAO's report. You all have that in front of you. Before there's any discussion on that, I'd like a motion to possibly accept, defer, or deny the report from the CAO. Councillor Daniel Allen?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the CAO report as circulated.
All right, motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Patty Durkee. Is there any discussion on that motion? Councillor Trevor Cunningham.
Well, I will say, I will bring up the Milo active transportation corridor project, and am very, very pleased and like to thank council and staff for moving that ahead. And gosh, I'd love to vote on it right now, but we're not quite there. So that'll come next time around. Okay, thanks so much.
Is there any more discussion on the CAO's report? Councillor Patty Durkee, and then Councillor Lauren Cushing.
Thank you. I also want to comment that making Port Maitland Beach Park is well accessible is in motion, and our Moby mats have arrived, but the likelihood of them being installed this year is very slim, obviously, because we're at the end of the summer. So, and we got grant approval, so assistance with the purchase of the mats and the wheelchairs. So next summer, if everything goes well, the DNR should have the infrastructure and our mat should be in place. So thanks very much to our staff for moving ahead with that. That's two exciting projects that we have in the works. Thank you kindly.
Thank you much. Councillor Lauren Cushing.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to mention about the Cape Purchase, the winner of the 2020 Traveler's Choice Award, recognized top 10% of the world's attraction based on reviews. It's an honor to have that in my district, number one. But number two, I'm quite confident that most of you have seen that advertisement on TV about where the young lady sings "Somewhere Over the Rainbow," and it's a beautiful song, and it relates to all different scenes across Nova Scotia. But at the very end, it shows Cape Purchase Lighthouse at nighttime with the light on and whatnot. So it's usually, they always say, if you want to impress someone, you make a good start and a good ending. So the good ending was the Cape Purchase Lighthouse shining there and whatnot. So, it's a very good award to come up with there. And, I think we're certainly on the right track on our Cape Purchase master plan too. So which will certainly highlight our area down there. So thank you.
Any more questions, comments on the CAO's report? If there's no more, I'd like to note one thing that's in the CAO's report, that modifications to the Municipality District of Yarmouth's council chamber is well underway, and the work is currently in the planning stages. Any of the modifications that will be done to the council chambers are going to comply with the ministerial order from the Minister of Municipal Affairs. Madam CAO, is there any update on that? Or is the planning still underway, or has the contractors been contacted? Because I do believe that I was in there and we had a quick discussion about possible modifications to the room. So I'm just wondering where that stands and a possible date that we could return to meeting in person.
So as most of you are aware, the construction trades are very, very busy. So we have issued the purchase order to have the work completed. It's looking like they won't even get on site until the end of September, maybe. So unfortunately, I don't think that you'll have a chance to get back into council chambers before the election in October.
Yeah, I pretty much expected that, but I was kind of hoping that the modifications that need to be done would be there and ready for the new council to be sworn in. At least I'm hoping.
I'm not sure even if they're done that space will be appropriate for the swearing in, because generally we have special guests and elected officials like to bring some family. So it's very likely that we'll be at the Rotary Center for the swearing in anyway.
Yeah, I knew that question as well. So just for council's clarification and anyone who may be watching. All right, is there any more discussion on the motion that's on the floor to accept the CAO's report as presented? None? Entertain a question.
Question.
Question being called on the CAO's report. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Contrary minded? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you very much, Council, and thank you very much, Madam CAO, for your in-depth report. I certainly appreciate also the motions that Council has approved and so far how they've come along, whether it's been completed or currently working on it. I certainly do appreciate that. Moving on, item number 10, correspondence. 10.1, for action. Wounded Warrior event, Yarmouth, Nova Scotia. You all have that in your package. Madam CAO, do you wish to speak to that?
Sure. So this comes to us through one of our local volunteers who is a member of the first responders community. And so the request that's coming before council is to consider donating an item or items for silent auction to help raise money for Canada's military, veterans, and first responders communities. And so in our community, the event will be in November, on Saturday, November 7th. So the municipality, the corporate credit cards have a points program attached to them. And so we can use those points to purchase items that we need for operations. And so we could absolutely use some of those points to this very good cause and purchase a very nice item to donate for this event.
I agree.
Councillor Patty Durkee, you have your hand up.
I'd be happy to make a motion if that's required, that
Yes, it is.
we purchase or use points to purchase a gift to contribute to the Wounded Warrior event.
Okay, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Daniel Allen. Is there any discussion on that motion? Councillor Trevor Cunningham, and I believe Councillor Daniel Allen had his hand up afterwards.
And I know staff will ensure that it's a very, very nice gift because it's a very, very important cause. So just to say that about it, I'm looking forward to our contribution. Thank you.
Councillor Allen, did you have your hand up or are you just adjusting your camera?
No, I did, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to say that Todd Muse does a lot of work towards this. This event was supposed to take place in April, but due to COVID got put off. I personally am going to be making a donation to Todd's rucksack for every so much. For $20, I think he adds 5 pounds to his rucksack, which I will be making a donation to him to put a little weight on his back for the walk. But I just know that he puts a lot of work into this, and it's a very important event, and I'm glad to see we're in support of it.
Is there any more discussion on that motion that's on the floor? I do have one thing to say. Councillor Daniel Allen, I do know the person you're speaking of, and I will certainly be contributing to even adding more weight on his back. Even though your birthday is just passed and it was a big one, he's my age, so a little extra weight, we'll see if he can carry it. So that being said, if there's no more discussion on that motion, I'd entertain a question.
Question.
Question being called. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Contrary minded? Motion carried. Thank you very much, Council. Item 10.1.2, tie-ins, the travel tax incentive letter. Madam CAO, do you wish to speak to that?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So tie-ins wrote to the Premier earlier this summer and indicated to him that they were of the opinion that some form of tax incentive to encourage Nova Scotians to travel around the province and spend their vacation dollars in the province would aid in the recovery for that sector post-COVID. And we received the letter from our partners at YASTA who are supporting tie-ins in this initiative. And YASTA is challenging their member municipalities to write a letter of support to the Premier on this issue.
All right, so what's the wishes of the council? Do you wish to move forward with the CAO's recommendation to send a letter of support to the Premier about the tie-ins tax incentive letter?
Would you require a motion for that, or
Absolutely.
just for direction?
I'd prefer a motion on that.
I'd make the motion to send a letter of support on behalf of the municipality to the, and in support of Times. I'm not sure exactly how you want me to word this, but
I did say what I'd be looking for, Councillor Allen, and I'll repeat it. And if this is the motion you would like to move, then so be it in the record. Looking for a letter of support to the Premier about TIAM's tax incentive letter.
sure, that sounds great.
All right, a motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councillor Lauren Cushing. Is there any discussion on the motion on the floor? Hearing none. Question being called. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. All right, as I said before, I have two written agendas in front of me, and I usually follow a written agenda, but this time I do have the updated agenda in front of me. Item 10.1.3, Screen Nova Scotia letter, request of a letter of support. Does anyone wish to speak to that? Madam CAO.
Yep. So I know Councillor Durkee has a very good familiarity with this initiative, but I did just want to confirm for Council that Nova Scotia Business Inc. is aware that the film sector has this initiative on their agenda, and they know that the sector has been actively pursuing an opportunity to build a soundstage in the province. So I know sometimes when these initiatives come forward that are for a whole sector, Council likes to know if our partners at other levels of government are aware, and I just wanted to clarify for Council that they are aware.
Okay, what is the wishes of Council? Councillor Patty Durkee.
I would like to make a motion that we write a letter of support to both Invest Nova Scotia and ACOA, supporting Screen Nova Scotia and the company they're working with, Citywide Studios, to support the building of a soundstage for the film and television industry.
A motion on the floor. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Daniel Allen. Is there any discussion on the motion on the floor? Councillor Patty Durkee.
Yes, I just want to remind everybody that when the Lighthouse movie came to Yarmouth, they left behind $5 million in our community, which was a really positive experience. And I know a lot of people didn't really care for the movie, but it made it across the world with it got really positive reviews. It was definitely an arts film. So with that, unfortunately, we had COVID, and that has prevented people from coming from around the world to visit Cape Verschoux. But the movie's still getting reviews and still being watched, so there's still that opportunity. That being said, we would certainly like to encourage Nova Scotia, the province, to support for the film and television industry. And of course, it was basically shut down during COVID, but it is starting to build up again. So it would be great to have all the important infrastructure in place so that people can start filming again. And we would certainly welcome anybody to come to Yarmouth to do a production. As a matter of fact, there was a production agency just here working on a ghost, I think it's a series. So people are still coming, and the more we can get exposed, the better. We got really positive reviews from the last film done here. So yes, I would be happy if we could support that.
Any more discussion? I do have to say, since I don't see one raising their hand, that I fully support this motion that's on the floor. At this time, there's no financial ask, but anything to get the ball rolling, because as Councillor Durkee had stated, it brought a lot of attention to the Yarmouth area with the filming of the Lighthouse, and people were really excited. And this was obviously before the COVID-19 pandemic hit, but at the time there was a lot of people that were just even driving along Sand Beach, stopping and taking pictures, and people marveling at our area. And the more exposure that we can get our area, our catchment area, Yasta, in the province of Nova Scotia, and a place to perform what they do in the screening area, well, absolutely, I'm all in support of that. So if there's no other comments on the motion on the floor, I'd accept the question on the motion.
Question.
Question being called. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you very much, Council.
Thank you very much, everyone.
All right. Item 10.2, for your information, you have in front of you Operation Blue Nose, YASTA, Radiate Tourism Program, Election 2020, important information for candidates, and 2019-2020 report from the Property Valuation Services Corporation. That's for your information, Council. Item number 11, report on committees. 11.1, legal entities. As you all see, I have put forward my written reports on here. Is there any reports of council from any meetings that may have met? Councillor Daniel Allen.
We did have a meeting on July 29th, I believe it was, for the Mariner Center Management Authority. And there is currently ice in arena number 2. Glad to see the kids are back on the ice, minor hockey. We've done a lot of great work with policies and protocols for sanitation and keeping things clean and keeping things in order. And the kids are back on the ice, minor hockey, figure skating. There's been some 3-on-3, and we're hoping that the enthusiasm keeps up and people keep skating.
Thank you very much, Council. Is there any other reports under the legal entities portion? Councillor Patty Durkee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a meeting coming up for the Western Counties Regional Library annual meeting, but I want to comment that the director, Aaron Camo of the Western Counties Library, has been working diligently to get the library functioning and organized for COVID. And things are moving along well, really well, actually. They're all ready to go, and people are using the library, and it's nice to see things in action again, and people are really excited to be able to access books. And so they've got new programs going on where, you know, you can order online, and I highly recommend that you look at the process that they've set up. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Moving on, any other reports in item 11.1, legal entities? Hearing none, move on to item number 11.2, advisory committees. Does any council have any? Councillor Patty Durkee.
Just a quick update from the Doctor Recruitment and Retention Committee. The community navigator, Rebecca, has continued to work diligently. Our new doctors are being staggered as started, but I hear people are being called off the 811 list, and they're starting to get doctors. I do not think you're going to find that they're just going to open the door and say, you know, woohoo, here's a doctor, everybody, anybody can sign on. They are going to be using the 811 list. We have hospitalists starting, working in the primary care field. And we have a couple of contracts on the way one for an OBGYN, and they're continuing to roll in. If you go into the chamber office, there's a nice board set up that shows the number of doctors that have been recruited thus far. And the team from the province have been actively working with Rebecca to make these things happen. So all in all, everybody's extremely pleased. One of the issues that we're short of is housing for students. And so we're looking into what we can do for that. And that's those students who are coming short term, they already have a place that they've rented in Halifax, for example. So they're looking for some free short-term accommodations. And so we're trying to figure out how to make that happen until the Coastal Credit Union building is up and running. That's still in progress, but taking quite a bit longer than expected. But all in all, everything's great.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor Patty Durkee. Is there any other comments on the advisory committee meetings? Questions for chairs? Councillor Patty Durkee.
Yes, actually, this question is for you, Deputy Warden Cunningham. We had been discussing the Remo, and we thought maybe you could just give a quick update to the public on what's happening, since people are still having major water issues.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Councillor. I knew this question was coming. As you all know, I've did a written report up here in regards to water coupons and stuff, the availability of water coupons through the Municipality District of Yarmouth's office and also through the Municipality District of Argyle. There's also a question posed to me about water availability at Mariner Center and the concerns with the times and the long lineups. That item was also discussed in the Remo committee, and the staff and the Remo staff, Janine and Max, have been directed to look into that issue. One of the problems is right now is the positions are being filled by volunteer organizations such as fire departments and ground search and rescue. However, since it has become an issue and the dry spell has been continuing on, staff is currently working on that in regards to the water accessibility. Also, I do believe that the Town of Yarmouth's new dispensary system is due to be up and running in September from my last comments from the mayor. I'll certainly touch bases with the mayor, seeing how that project's coming along. It was also noted in that meeting, I believe by our own CAO, that this is the fifth drought that we've had in the past 6 years. It was also brought up at the Remo committee that we started staff to working on a solution to the problem. Whether that's going to be a different dispensary system or whether that's going to be a dug well, we're not sure yet. We're waiting for recommendations from staff. Also, the Madam CAO has been working on that as well. Other than that, that's all the update that I can give you until we get a report from staff on how we're moving forward. I know that doesn't help right at this second. However, like I said, the Remo staff is working on a solution to that problem. And as soon as I hear, I'll certainly let council know. Councillor Durkee.
Thank you for the update, Deputy Warden. I want to comment that I noticed that the Western Regional Western Regional Enterprise Network is not on the list. And I just want to give a quick update, if that's okay, to say that the intermunicipal agreement has been signed and approved by all the municipalities.
Yes, that's right. I did sign that, and my apologies. I must have missed that. I do know that used to be on there. I'll make sure that it's on for our next agenda. Also, as some of you know, one verbal report I'm going to give is the CAO committee has met twice in the past week, and we cannot give a report online because it deals with personnel and staffing. So that's going to be in the in-camera section. This is as per MGA 22-2 paragraph C. Personnel and staffing is not discussed in a regular council meeting. So council will get updated on that in the in-camera. Is there any other reports on item 11.2 advisory? Hearing none, move on to 11.3 ad hoc. There's no, there's nothing to report as of yet on Yargall 2024. However, we are setting up a meeting in the very near future. I did have a date in front of me, but it is coming. Madam CAO, do we need a motion to accept all the meeting reports on those?
Required, but if you would like to do that, you can.
Yeah, it's not required, so we'll not do that. All right, item number 12, Warden's remarks. I only have one remark. As we all know, the election's coming up. Nomination day is actually starting tomorrow. So any of the councillors that are currently sitting on this council that wishes to run, or anyone in the public who wishes to run, you can come to the Municipality District of Yarmouth and you can pick up your candidates package. And you can start signing up to be a candidate in one of the 7 districts in the Municipality District of Yarmouth starting tomorrow. I have an appointment tomorrow at 1 o'clock, actually, and I'm looking forward to getting out and campaigning and meeting with people and hearing people's concerns. I'm also excited that I see some interest out there. As from my understanding, there's been quite a few of candidates package that's already been put out. If anyone has any questions, they can certainly call the municipal office at 902-742-7159 and ask for our returning officer, Dean Fuller, and he can certainly fill you in. I'll certainly help anyone out who's wishing to run, even if you wish to run in my district. The more the merrier. Election day is coming up on October the 17th. That's the final day that you can vote. This year we're doing something a little bit different, as everyone knows. We're doing our voting by e-voting. And for some reason, the start date of e-voting is leaving me. I believe it's October the 8th?
At 9 a.m.
At 9 a.m. is when the voting can start electronically. You'll be receiving your PIN numbers and stuff in the mail once all the candidates are confirmed. And that's all that I have for the warden's remarks.
Mr. Chair,
Well-
could I just add something to your comments, if that's okay?
Absolutely.
So it's important to note that because we're not running a paper election this year and we're running what we're calling an electronic election, that includes telephone voting. So from a traditional landline, you can vote. You'll need your voter information letter. But we do know some people, this will be new for them. And so we're calling it an electronic election, but it is telephone and electronic. So it's really important for people to understand that.
Yes, and one other thing is I also know that they'll be bringing out an electronic device to a few strategic areas across the municipality during the voting time from October the 8th until the last day, October the 17th. They will be strategically placed. When and where, I don't know exactly where they are. However, I do believe that the Municipality District of Yarmouth, it will be on our Facebook page and also on our municipal website on what times and when you can go vote, whether it be at, say, for example, the Carlton Fire Hall, Lake Vaughan, Port Maitland, out in Melbourne. I'm not exactly sure. I believe South Ohio is another area. Councillor Trevor Cunningham, I believe there's one in your district as well at the seniors complex. I think that's coming up, but all those dates and times is all going to be posted very soon. So that's my Deputy Warden's report. Item number 13, other business. If there's no other business, I'd entertain to move on to item number 14, a motion to move in camera. Moved by Councillor Daniel Allen. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Lauren Cushing. Motion on the floor to move in camera. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion carried. All right, thank you, everyone. Our in-camera session has completed. We'll move on to item number 15. Is there any in-camera recommendations coming forth from the in-camera session? Councillor Trevor Cunningham.
Yes, I'll make a motion that we approve the Acadia First Nation Service Agreement as circulated.
I'll
All right.
second that.
Moved by Councillor Trevor Cunningham and seconded by Councillor Lauren Cushing. Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, I'd entertain a question on the motion.
Question.
Question being called. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Contrary minded? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you very much, Council. Move on to the very last item. Item number 16. Need a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Daniel Allen. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Gerard LeBlanc. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Minded? Thank you very much, Council. You all have a good evening and enjoy the cooler weather outside. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night now.